Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
It's Brian and Kenzie on Q101.
Ahoy! Let's go! We're waking up Chicago. Turn up the radio. It's time to start the show. On Q101 with the morning crew. Ahoy! Let's go! Welcome to the morning show.
Let's go. And for the first time all week, which is very interesting here, Yvonne from Chesterton checked in from the 219. And I figured, right now, all our phones are ringing. And because we have the Tyler Joseph from 21 Pilots performing in the lounge next week. And people are just kind of calling 24 hours a day, right, Case? Like the phone lines the servers have had to we had to hire Amazon to put more servers in.
Not only are the phones ringing all day, and I say this with love to all of our Tyler Joseph people, but I am clearly talking to a young demographic who has never talked on the phone before. So I'm walking people through their first phone calls for most of the show now.
Yesterday, Kenzie had to explain what a busy signal was to a lot of people.
Okay, you don't understand.
And God bless them, by the way. No hate whatsoever. We love them. We love that they're passionate. They have never talked on the phone before.
So I don't feel like he was super young, I have to be honest, but I was texting back and forth with a gentleman yesterday who was like, does someone have to answer at 8 or do I just win the tickets because I called? I'm like, you need to talk to somebody. I don't know what you think we got going on over here, but many are calling. And he wrote back, oh. I'm like,
yes.
It's just, yes, you need to hear a voice, and that voice needs to then tell you that you won.
Right. Now, you should have said, on the 101st ring, you win. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, the problem is that there's obviously we only have 10 lines. So this is how landline works. It's plugged into the wall, you see.
Okay. Tell me,
and
Kenzie.
it has multiple lines.
Uh-huh.
We have 10. Once those are full, you get a busy signal. But those drop so you can find your way into line 6 or line 4. Because I was explaining that if you're getting a busy signal, you're not doing anything wrong. Like, keep calling, keep trying to win, right? It doesn't mean you've lost yet either just because you got a busy signal,
yes.
Correct? Okay. Someone's like, how the hell am I supposed to wait if there's a busy signal? Is that ringing? I go, you're not supposed to sit there and wait. You're supposed to hang up and call to try to get into the next line. It's like another opportunity. I did not anticipate the level of breakdown that I was going to have to do.
Well, listen.
I was shocked.
Think about it. When's the last time you called somebody? No one calls anybody anymore.
Nobody calls anybody anymore.
And back in the day in radio contests, there were people in their basements they had speed dialers on phones that were push button phones. Like you actually had to push the buttons. Yeah. And then they would get through contests. And some of them I remember back in the day at Q101 in the old sludge days, people had like 7 or 8 phones in their basement with different phone lines. They told me they would splice them into their neighbors and it was amazing. These guys should be working for NASA. And they would do that to win contests, and it worked. And now, you just dial on your cell phone there. And we have a lot of text contests, too. Obviously, people texting in right now.
That is another one we get. A lot of people have texted this line and said, so is this Tyler Joseph? I go, no, he's not manning the phones for 5 days around the clock.
This is how
very
big
busy.
This is how big the lounge is, to my point, which is next week here at Q101, first time Tyler Joseph being in the lounge. We've done so much for 21 Pilots and with them over the years with playing Twisted and also the takeovers we had in the city, and they took over the radio station, all these things. But to actually perform in the lounge, Tyler Joseph next Wednesday, before their shows, where they'll play for 50,000 people over 2 days at the United Center, pretty special, and people are calling 24 hours a day. Now, what I was going to mention is how big today is Yvonne from Chesterton, who texted in, didn't mention Tyler Joseph. It's the first person in a week that hasn't mentioned Tyler Joseph. She's stoked about Ticket Blitz Thursday at 8:20 for the Deftones tickets.
Also very good.
Huge. Deftones. So 8:20 we start Ticket Blitz Thursday, and then every hour today, that sold out show at the Madhouse. So 8:20 and 9 will be Deftones tickets. 8 o'clock is Tyler Joseph for the lounge. It's stacked today because even in 7 minutes right here, we'll give you the first keyword for When We Were Young Festival. That's for a trip to Vegas to see Fall Out Boy and My Chemical Romance, among others. It's a lot today. Just pay attention to every time we say it's coming up, and then when we do it, so you text or call the right number, and not your grandma or Tyler Joseph or whoever. We want you to win. So stay here. The When We Were Young Festival keyword is first up here in just a few minutes.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
It's Brian and Kenzie on Q101, and time for a fact that makes your brain go. It's actually a couple in a way, because every year it seems like there's new dating terms out there, things that are like, I think the first one I can, remember vaguely getting big is, and it doesn't seem big now, of course, is ghosting. Like when that word first became popular, I don't remember ghosting like when I was in high school. I mean, people did it, but then the word ghosting said, yeah, I know what that is now.
Okay.
You ghost someone.
It's like Kenzie says, there's a word for everything now.
Oh, jeez.
So many words.
I know.
And
Not
Case
everything needs like a nickname.
I got more for
Describe
you.
it with your other words.
I got more nicknames for you.
Oh, boy.
So these are the latest dating terms. They are trending now, and something that happens while you're dating with somebody or what the situation is. For example, I'll just give you, there's 5 of them I'm going to give you, but here's one. If you want to guess what this would be, grim keeping.
Grim keeping.
Like the Grim Reaper, but it's grim keeping. What do you think that means, like in a dating relationship, of how the thing goes?
Are you like keeping track of all your fights?
That's good guess. I'm not going to tell you
That's
for right or
what I
wrong.
would say.
Case, what do you think?
I'm going to side with Kenzie on this one. I think that might be right. That's psychotic behavior. Don't do that. Apologize and move on. But
Pero.
it could be grim keeping.
Yes. Well,
I mean, we all, go to our index cards in our mind and I'm like, you know what, bitch? On May 12th, I'm not doing this again, okay? Because you just did this a couple months ago.
God, Megan should be
Smack it
in
on the table.
for the fights that Megan can remember. She should be in Mensa. God, she brings back stuff from like our first dates. We're coming up on our 7-year like dating anniversary, and she remembers stuff from that first date,
Hell yeah.
or the second, or third, or fourth.
I'll say that. I'm like, I know what happened because you told me when we were sitting at RPM Italian the second day. I said, good Lord, I don't remember eating there.
All right, so grim keeping. We'll talk about. I'll tell you what that means in 6 minutes, and a few other ones out there, so you're up to date on the lingo.
Brian and Kenzie.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie.
On Q101.
All right, time for some facts to make your brain go. And these will keep you in the know if you're a single person dating and people mention something like this. This is my kind of relationship going on. These dating terms, I don't know how many have really happened to people, but you be the judge when we go through them here. I teased grim keeping, and Kenzie and Case made a guess on that. We'll save that one for last.
Okay.
I'll just explain the other 4 first. Yap trapping.
Okay.
Now, yap trapping is when someone just talks about themselves on a date and doesn't ask any questions about you when you're on the date.
Yap trapping?
Yap trapping. And I think, again, before that term, everybody has experienced a date like that, I think, right? Where someone just talks about themselves and never wants to get to know you, and you're waiting for that moment, and you start picking up your phone, looking at it like, all right, I get out of here.
Yeah. No, I have an exact image of a restaurant and everything in my mind as you're talking about that.
Yeah.
Not good.
Case, you experienced that?
I feel like when I was a single man a long, long time ago.
Wow, so long ago.
I know, 2 years next week.
Wow.
I know. I experienced the opposite, where I'd be trying to spin plates and do dances, and I would try to pull anything out of the people I was sitting across the table from. And the problem is, a lot of the time, these people had nothing to say.
These people.
These people, you know what I mean. You know what I mean when I say these people.
Oh, of course.
The young singles in Chicago.
Yes, of course, exactly.
I'm sure I'm guilty of it, but a lot of the time I'd be like, all right, give me something. I'm a personality for a living. Give me something to work with, and I would get absolutely nothing.
I'll tell you,
Right.
as I have not been single for 7 years and a month and a half, it'll
My
be
man.
7 years. The thing I used to do that would work is I used to do show prep, like for the show, for a date.
100% yes.
Have a couple things
Yep.
that you can really be entertaining
Really?
with. Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Kenzie.
You had to put that much effort into it?
Yes. I wanted to meet somebody for the rest of my life. And so I would sit there and, at least in case the date went like Case is talking about, where the other person's saying nothing, then I could at least have a couple things to go with and have entertaining conversation, even if it was with myself, to go with, to maybe draw something out of the person, to say, oh, I've had that experience or something too. And I
Have a
ask a lot
spark.
of,
Yeah.
and also ask a lot of questions. I think it's good to inquire about the person you're sitting with.
I would have 10 trivia questions ready and play Clash with Kenzie with them just in case they had nothing to say.
I just never thought about it that much if I went on a date.
Really?
That's pretty privilege. That's you, and I'm not. That's not a critique.
How is that pretty privilege?
Kenzie,
Maybe I'm just a good conversationalist where I don't have to prep to talk.
No, Brian and I
What?
going on dates, we'd have to fight for our lives. We'd have to fight for anything. We'd have to come prepared. You can show up and look pretty, and people are going to be interested in you. It's not that easy for people like Brian and I.
That's
right.
not true. That's so not like. It's not. Because what does that have to do? What does prepping conversation have to do with looks?
I'm just saying that you don't know what you're getting into with a person you're going to sit with for a couple hours at dinner.
And I would imagine you both went out with pretty people at one point, at least. Of
course.
You're both with pretty people, so I would assume prior to that, at least one other person was pretty.
Yeah. Pretty doesn't mean good conversationalist, though. And when
Right,
you're
but,
sitting
did
down
you,
there.
Like, okay. I'm trying to figure out, were they so boring just because they were pretty? That was pretty privileged?
There's certainly some people, and he wasn't saying that about you.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you're doing your job. You're holding up your end of the bargain by showing up. You show up. Your part of the date is done. You've won. It's people that look like Brian and I that are like, all right, we got to bring something to the table here. We better have a show plan ready and try to win these ladies over with our personality.
Now you're going too far. You're lumping me in too much with you.
Okay. Did you guys ever? Because this happened to me after a date once. We were on a date, and I'm like, this isn't the best.
Sure.
I'm probably not going to go out with it again, but that's fine. He was nice, right? And we went, he's like, oh, I want to go to this place with my friends. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll just get a ride from there. That's fine. So we go to that place. And he started telling everyone there that I was his girlfriend.
Wow, first date?
Yes.
Nice.
And I'm like, I don't even know him that well. I do not know his middle name. I got nothing. I'm
Probably didn't know his last name at that
I
point.
was like, what is happening? They're, how have you guys been together? I'm like, tonight. We are not.
That's funny. I like that.
Did you guys ever do that to a girl? Maybe he thought I wouldn't hear, but I'm like, I don't know. I'm sitting here.
Thinking of popping the question next week.
Oh my God.
Maybe he thought I wouldn't hear.
That's great. All right, here's a couple more we'll get to before we tell you what grim keeping is in the dating world. So, freak matching, connecting with someone that, not a good term for these days right now. Diddy, I'm looking in your direction. Freak matching. It basically is what
Freak
that.
off.
Yeah, people that do the same kind of things. They're a little weird. They might think themselves weird alone, but when they get with this person, they've matched with a freak.
Well, there's a trend on TikTok, and it's, is somebody going to match my freak? And you pick out a weird, annoying thing about yourself.
Yeah.
Say you want, I do this on a plane. I want to watch the same movie as my husband, and I want it to start at the exact same time. So we're watching the movie together.
Wow.
That's that's one of my weird things. So can you match my freak, baby?
Freak.
Let's start the movie at the same time.
Here's another one. Being smutton. SMUTTEN, being smutton. And this kind of goes a little bit what you're talking about, Kenzie. When you fantasize about things, from shows or movies happening in real life in your date with your person. So not exactly what you're talking about there, but basically, let's say for me, it would have been the movie Swingers,
Okay.
with Vince Vaughn. Uh-huh. Those things were just we used to actually go to bars and try to start those scenes in movies. From Swingers. If you know the movie Swingers, Case will watch it someday. He'll understand it.
You're no better than a LARPer, a live action role player. They might dress up and be Civil War reenactors. You're just dressing up as Vince Vaughn and trying to reenact his movies.
100%.
If someone's thing at the bar was just pretending they were Vince Vaughn, I'd be so annoyed. How dumb do you think I am? Do you think I think you're Vince Vaughn?
Well, I'm telling you what, it worked about 48% of the time. I have the stats. I have the
48%
spreadsheet.
of the time, it works every time.
Sticking with a capital CK, it's pursuing someone after looking past an initial ick. That's why the CK, the ICK is capitalized.
I get it.
So they have something that's ick, but
ick.
there must be a lot other.
If they pretended they were Vince Vaughn at the bar.
Possibly.
But then they seemed nice, I guess.
Possibly. And finally, grim keeping, which I'll give Dodger Boy credit here, checked in on the text line, is grim keeping that she's an absolute nightmare, but you keep her because what that ass do. I'm quoting the text exactly there.
Is that what it means?
That's what Dodger Boy thinks it means. That's not what it means.
I thought it meant something different.
No, grim keeping means, and you guys guessed it was, what'd you guys guess? I forgot.
Keeping track of all your fights, kind of
Yes.
using them later,
Nothing to do with that. It means bonding with someone over your shared dislikes. All the stuff
that's
that
fun.
you hate, they hate, and you guys get together and all you talk about is stuff you hate.
You know what's interesting is when you're with somebody for a long time, you start to notice the things in the world that they hate, and the things they hate, you're like, oh, I'm gonna send this to my husband because I know it'll like It's just funny that there's like this bond that's created over their hatred for things.
Yeah.
Actually, you start to have that with everybody. Like, there's a restaurant, I'm not going to say it, that Case hates because the owner of it, it was his dog that attacked Case's dog.
Oh, yeah, the restaurant that I pursued legal action with. Yes, go ahead. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Well, it's under the court still going. We can't talk about it for about 7 more
every time
years.
I see it, though, I go, oh, Case, even though it has this negative thing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I won't eat there
Yep.
because of my Casey case.
Yep.
Like, it's like an endearing thought pops in your head, even though it initiated from hate.
I will say, one of the first things I bonded with my wife on our first few dates, and this wasn't, I don't want to use the word hate, because hate is so negative. It's so much. Like, I wouldn't want to be with someone that you just hate everything all the time together.
The word hate does have negative connotations. You're right, Brian.
Hot take.
Well, I mean, hate is strong. You can say, I don't like that person, or they're blah, but hate means you.
Whatever. Don't take it so serious. If you take it so serious, like, I can't, my mom does that to me. I can't believe you said hate. I'm like, would you relax?
I agree with your mom. It's too much. It's too much,
not
visceral.
Too much. I didn't say they should burn in hell.
Well, it's
Fuck
almost
them
like
out.
saying someone's hot. People have abused the word hot. Like everybody's hot all of a sudden. Not everybody's hot. Not everybody's even close to hot.
Are you
know
going
what
to be the gatekeeper on that?
You know what I'm saying? So not everybody's, or hate is just all the way to the 10. Save hate for what you really hate. Like I hate the White Sox right now because they keep winning and costing me money to buy tickets for listeners. Boy, do I hate the White Sox.
Well, what did you bond over? Hate, disliking a lot.
Not even that, but in the world of we would hang out and we just mocked everybody in the places we were at.
It's fun.
To us. And so it's not hate, but it was having fun with people at their expense that they didn't know.
I like, if there's nothing else to talk about, I like to go through table by table and guess people's jobs.
Similar.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Based off their tendencies.
Yeah. Or this guy must be rich. What's he do? Owns a boat company or something?
Well, if you see a guy really being diligent about his fork and knife, it's probably a lawyer. He's his hands dirty.
Yeah. So it's
very
fun.
Prestigious.
Very fun. All right, well, there you go. So maybe you're in one of those relationships, maybe you're not, but if someone brings it up, you'll know what it means now.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
It's Brian and Kenzie on Q101. So I've been buying tickets for White Sox fans all week, dipping into my own pocket, into my own daycare money, college fund money, to make sure one of our great fans and listeners is at the game where they become the sole worst team in Major League Baseball history. They've tied the record already. If you haven't kept track, at 120 games, 121 gets the record. They've won the last 2 days. And, you can hear these listeners on our podcast. Brian and Kenzie podcast is available to you very easy on Q101.com, anywhere you get your podcasts, like Spotify, Apple, and the Q101 app. Beautiful place. Download that for free, and you got it right there for you. It's super easy. So we're going to do it again. A beautiful day, as I just said, 77 degrees and sunny today for baseball, a day baseball game. And this is the last home game of the season. And the Tigers will definitely beat the White Sox on the road because they're fighting for something. We'll get to this in sports a little more. But I'm astounded that we're here. Here we are. And I'm going to probably, at this point, get to over $200 in White Sox tickets that I've spent on the listeners this week.
Right.
And we're going to do it again. So 7 o'clock here. Stay tight for sports coming up in a minute. First, it's Gil Curtis with your headlines.
This is not headline news. The U.S. Capitol got a statue of Johnny Cash. It looks so much like a real-life guitarist, Perry Farrell punched it. Vanna White says she's not necessary for Wheel of Fortune. Oh no, they've already replaced Pat Sajak with a robot. Now her? Some people are saying they'll no longer be listening to P. Diddy's music. And some people who have good taste in music were saying that 15 years ago. And according to a new survey, the thing people regret most on their deathbeds is not spending enough time with the people they love. Their second biggest regret, spending 3 hours watching Kevin Costner's Horizon. This is not headline news.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.